This is the April episode of the Sponsorship Experts podcast with Paul Poole, the founder of the Sponsorship Experts and director of Paul Poole Southeast Asia. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about Hatari's sponsorship of the FIVB Volleyball Women's World Championship Thailand 2025, the Thailand International Boat Show, and the sponsorship, Part 1 and Part 2 workshops. In Any Other Business, we'll talk about the potential changes in legislation regarding alcohol companies being allowed to get involved in sponsorship and the possible casino legislation. So, let's get on with it. So here we are again for the April Sponsorship Experts podcast, and this month we can elaborate on something that was breaking last month. We don't do breaking news very often because it's a monthly podcast, but we can elaborate a bit more on what we talked briefly about last month, which is at Hatari.
Yes.
I'll learn how to say it one day. Hatari's sponsorship of the Volleyball World and so on. So tell us all about it. Now you can.
Yeah, so as you're aware, we've been working with Volleyball World now for 3-4 years. This year, Thailand's the host of the FIVB Volleyball Women's World Championships, which is taking place 22nd of August to the 7th of September. And we have just confirmed Hatari Electric, who have become the official event sponsor of that championships.
For people who don't know, I doubt whether many people don't, but they are massive, right?
Yeah, I mean, Hatari are the leading electric fan brand here in Thailand.
Yeah.
So we'll be bringing fans to the fans.
Hey! I've got two of their products.
Yeah, I mean,
But they do aircon as well, right?
Yeah, so we're focused on their white goods category, so it's really fans and aircon category that we're looking at with them. They're the first of 6 that we have to announce, hopefully. So we're thrilled that they're on board, and we're currently working on their activation activities. So,
do you want to tell us about those? Have you got those in any sort of detail? He asked as if he didn't know.
Well, so obviously Hatari get a series of rights as part of their sponsorship. Yeah. So rights include category exclusivity and title rights, logo and image rights, event branding rights. You'll see their logo on the LED perimeter boards during each match. Promotion, advertising and PR rights. Hospitality rights, obviously taking seats in the stands for their customers, clients and their guests to enjoy the matches live. Experiential rights, so we'll be setting up a booth at each of the fan zones at each of the stadiums around the country. Just as a reminder, the championships are taking place across 4 locations, so Bangkok, Phuket, Chiang Mai and Korat, and then the finals being back in Bangkok. So they will have activation activity areas or booth areas where they'll be promoting their goods at the fan zones. And then merchandising rights. And we're still early days on the activation planning, but one of the merchandising rights is they'll be producing a handheld limited edition fan, which will be branded with the event. So
is that like one of those
like
influencer? All the influencers have them now.
Oh, really? I didn't know
these
that.
days.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. But
according to the young people.
Okay. So we'll be giving out handheld fans branded with the event to the players, also the people around the players, like coaches, etc., but also the general public as well. Great. So that would be great fun as well.
Yeah.
So we're thrilled. I mean, we're thrilled with Hatari. It's a first for us with Hatari. They haven't sponsored anything through us before. We obviously brokered this deal and brought them in as a local partner. And really excited. We only have 6 tier 1 official event sponsors available, and we have a further 6 official event co-sponsors available, and we fully expect to sell all 12 of those slots.
Right.
So a lot more to be announced over the next couple of months.
Brilliant.
We're aiming to really close our campaign probably end of May if we can. Maybe it might go into June a little bit, but so hopefully a lot more to announce.
So if anyone's interested in getting involved in this, they've got to think about now
Yeah, I mean,
until the end of May, June.
absolutely. I mean, you know, we like to bring on, so we like to close our campaign 3 months before the event. That really gives us enough time to work with the sponsors on their activation activity, and it gives the sponsors time to leverage their sponsorship and exploit their sponsorship of the championship. Yeah, and you know, just as a reminder, we have 32 of the top women teams in the world coming in. Serbia, current world champs. Thailand, because we're the host country, and then 30 of the top seeded teams in the world. So, you know, 32 teams playing 88 matches over 2 weeks. So it'll be a great 2 weeks of volleyball here in Thailand.
The excitement about volleyball is not to be underestimated, especially here. It's huge.
I mean, it's quite, I don't want to use the word staggering, but it is staggering that, you know, volleyball, if we were sat here 5 years ago, volleyball wasn't really on anybody's radar.
Marginal interest.
It's now the third most popular sport in terms of fans in the world, after football and motorsport. So it's third most popular sport in the world, and it's around 3 or 4 in terms of spend, in terms of sponsorship as well around the world. Here in Thailand specifically, booming, really thanks to the women's national team.
Yeah.
You know, great on the court, great all over social media, all over. You talked about influencers. I mean, all of those players are all over social media, and you've seen during the VNL last year and the year before, you know, during the tournament, before and after, you know, your Facebook feed and news feeds and billboards around the city. I mean, you can't move for volleyball, so it's really,
it's so wholesome.
It's great. I mean, actually, it's more and more we're talking about this, about equality, because actually volleyball has equality in spades. I mean, basically the men and the women earn the same money, same prize money. The fan base is 50-50 male female across all volleyball. So it really is really something to hold up as an example. I'm sure other sports would love to have what volleyball has.
According to my social media, the next big trend in volleyball is dogs. I think I can't go a week without seeing a dog pull off an amazing shot while it's playing beach volleyball with a bunch of people, you know. And some of them they clearly understand the rules. I think we're a couple of years away from seeing, you know, an entirely dog v dog volleyball.
Okay, not sure we'll be representing that, but
I don't know.
So really great news about Hatari. I mean, we're thrilled, thrilled to have brought them on board. Obviously, we're looking forward to 26 and 27 when the VNL will be back in Thailand again, and we really hope Hatari have such a great experience this year with the World Championships that they'll stay with us for the next couple of 3 years.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you know, your involvement with that organisation has been fantastic so far.
Yeah, I mean...
And I don't think that there's a sponsor that hasn't come back, right?
No, absolutely. We keep on bringing back sponsors year after year. The World Champs is slightly different than the VNL. I mean, it's a big tournament all happening in one country rather than the VNL, which happens across many different countries. Yeah. What's great as well, we're not involved in the men's World Champs, but the men's World Champs is happening in the Philippines. So basically, the men's and women's World Champs this year are happening in Southeast Asia, which is great for the region. Our relationship with Volleyball World gets stronger and stronger. As a reminder, Volleyball World is a JV between the FIVB, the world governing body, and CVC, which is a venture capital company, and those two people coming together, or those two organisations coming together, have really given volleyball a commercial breath of fresh air, to plough money back into the sport and back into the fans. So the fans really engage. I read a great article with Finn Taylor just last week where, you know, he was saying how CVC really have put a booster into the sleeping giant of volleyball. You know, it's really that sport's come from nowhere to being number 3. So
yeah, we interviewed Finn a few months ago. If anyone wants to listen to that interview, just look in our back catalogue of podcasts, because that's really nice. Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, I mean, the guy knows what he's doing, and he's absolutely driven by this sport, you know.
Absolutely, he's really been quite visionary with the sport of volleyball, because his background is Cirque du Soleil. He was very influential in Cirque du Soleil.
Interesting.
So he brought a different plan, I guess, to volleyball. So he's really looking at that entertainment genre with volleyball. So when you're actually watching volleyball, yes, it's a sport. It's really exciting because it's a sport, but the production value is very much of an entertainment IP. So it's really great, fantastic.
There is also a lot more information about Volleyball World and Hatari in the newsletter. There's some good quotes from key players in it that you might find interesting. If you'd like to get in touch with Paul Pool Southeast Asia Co Limited, you can email us on info@paulpool.co.th, or you can go to the website paulpool.co.th, or you can call us on +66 2622 0605 through to 7. The next thing we're going to talk about is the boat show. Now, that might seem a bit previous because we were there quite recently. However, the thing about the boat show that people need to bear in mind is that although it's not until January, interest in it starts early and is usually, it's a very popular event for sponsors for obvious reasons.
Yeah, and why we work on this so far out is one, space. I mean, we don't have limitless space in the show. So when the space is gone, it's gone. So we sell it. We literally start selling the boat show straight after the last boat show. So we were there in January. The next boat show is the 15th, the 18th of January 2026. Thailand International Boat Show, obviously, Thailand's premier show.
At the same venue this year.
Same venue. So it's the 4th edition of the Thailand International Boat Show. It's not the 4th show. We've worked on every show for the last 20 years, but it's the 4th edition of the Thailand International Boat Show, and it's the 2nd edition that we'll be back at Phuket Yacht Haven. So we're there. We're expecting over 6,000 visitors, more than 100 exhibitors, and more than 60 yachts on the water. So it's an in-water show with 60 plus yachts. Lots of exhibitors on land as well. And we should say it's not just a boat show, it's a luxury lifestyle event. What I mean by that is we have luxury cars, motorbikes, properties, high-end travel agents, private aircraft, watches, jewellery, art, fashion and design. So it's really focused on boats, but all the lifestyle and the luxury around the boating lifestyle. So there's something for everyone.
The marquee at the last boat show, yes, there were people selling bits of boats that I don't understand that are obviously very important. Bits of engines and things like that.
Yeah, and rope.
And ropes. And a toilet. Which apparently is a thing that yachties like to talk about a lot, right? But also in the same marquee was luxury property.
Yeah.
What was everything else that we saw? There was a cigar bar with Richard, who we know.
Yeah.
The high end products.
It's everything around the boating lifestyle. So if you need to buy an anchor or a piece of rope or a rib, those exhibitors are there. They're usually on the boardwalk in the tented area on the boardwalk. But we also have that luxury lifestyle. So if somebody's buying a yacht on Phuket, then they're probably going to look for a second home on Phuket if they already have or if they don't already have one. They'll need another vehicle and all those things that associate with luxury lifestyle. But also, it's a really great 4 days. I always say it's a really great way to start the year.
Well, you certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice...
because, as you said before, all my work is done.
Correct. So I just sit smoking cigars and drinking whiskey
with friends
while my team do all the running around. But it is a really great social 4 days to start the year.
I wish I could have stayed the whole 4 days.
And people come for the day, or people come for all 4 days and really enjoy the experience. So it's really lovely. Phuket Yacht Haven is a beautiful marina. I mean, really, with views of Phang Nga and the sea trials actually of the yachts that go out to Phang Nga are really unique for the Thailand International Boat Show. So really, really great show. And obviously the day before the show, we have the Thailand Yachting Conference. We don't have a venue for that yet. It will be a different venue, I think, in 2026 than this year.
Oh, they had really good cookies.
But I think actually we're going to elevate the venue. So I think that there'll be an even better venue than this year.
With better cookies.
With better cookies, just for you, yeah, and toilets. But no, so that's a really great one, and of course, like every year, when we've developed a commercial sponsorship partnership program that meets most people's needs and budgets. We have a title sponsor, presenting sponsor, 6 co-sponsor sponsorship opportunities available. They're all monetary sponsorships. We have up to 10 official suppliers providing goods and services that the event needs. Yeah. And then we have up to 10 official media partners promoting the Thailand International Boat Show to visitors and participants, etc. So we have a really great package available now. We've launched it now because it coincides with the launch of it coincides with the Singapore Yachting Festival, which takes place today. So it's actually happening right now. But also we have exhibition space as well. So our focus is on selling sponsorship and manage the sponsors. But if somebody doesn't want to sponsor for whatever reason, but they want to exhibit, we will sell them exhibition space.
Were you involved in the concessions as well, in the little village behind the marquee, which was like
we were
small bars?
So what we tend to do is we're focused on sponsorship, and then the larger exhibitors. Right. So yachts on the water or the car brands, for example. Yeah. And there are certain categories that we don't want as sponsors, like the car brands. So because we always offer category exclusivity, we want multiple car brands. Obviously luxury car brands, not everyday cars, but we want multiple car brands, multiple motorbike brands, multiple property companies, etc., etc. So those categories we tend not to sell sponsorship to. We put them in as exhibitors. Right. But everything we do, sponsorship, exhibitor, everything, it's really brand partnerships. It's bringing those brands to life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really diverse. I mean, the different things to see and do.
Yeah, I mean, it's
good day out.
Yeah, it's there's something for everyone. Really, something for everyone.
Walking down, I'm sure there's an official boating term that you're going to tell me. The pavements that go to the boats.
The dock, you mean?
The dock. Yes, the dock. Yeah. Walking down there, I walked down at sunset, right, past all these $1 million yachts, and they got bigger and more expensive the further I went up. I walked up at sunset, right to the very end of the one of the main piers. Is that the right word?
No, docks.
Dock.
It's still a dock.
Right,
so you have a boardwalk around a marina and docks
hang on,
the water.
Boardwalk. So, I hung out on the boardwalk for a bit, and then I went down the dock to the end of the dock. Yeah. Which looks a bit like a pier, but you'd be silly if you called it a pier.
You would, yeah, or even a pavement,
or even a sea-bound pavement. God, what sort of idiot would call it that? So, but I got to the end of it. And then I bumped into a friend of mine who's got a catamaran there. So obviously, it's, to be social, I had a couple of drinks.
Of course.
But by the time that couple of drinks was finished, it was dark.
Yeah.
And so I came back in the dark, and all the boats were lit up, and that was a whole other experience. And you just felt like, as a rough lad from a council house in Denton, I felt like I'd arrived. I felt like $1 million. Yes, this is where I belong, on this sea-bound pavement, walking the pier.
But it's a beautiful show, because during the day you have all of the great views across the
And everyone was really nice. Like all the people showing off their boats.
Yeah, because they think you're going to buy a boat.
Probably. Yeah, but I got free champagne at one.
Yeah, they turn it off when they find you're not buying a boat.
Oh right, okay.
But it's a beautiful show. Obviously, don't forget, Thailand is hot, so people. The show goes on until about 10 o'clock at night because people want to enjoy looking at those yachts when the sun isn't blazing. So yes, those yachts are all air-conned, etc. And we should say, that since we moved to Phuket Yacht Haven, the VIP lounges, the captain's lounges, have been on boats in water.
Yeah.
And I think there's even talk about actually setting up a bar at the end of the dock.
Now, that'd
so
be
that
handy.
by the time you walk to that end of the dock, you can actually stop and have some drinks before you walk back. So, we're looking at how to make the in-water experience better for the visitors, with some more hospitality for networking, etc. So it's definitely worth a trip. We're 1 week later this year, so we moved the dates from the first weekend to the second weekend of January, just because the dates were getting a bit too close to New Year.
Right.
So that's also another plus point. So we look forward to being back in January.
And people really need to be thinking about that now if they're going to get
Space,
involved.
particularly in the water. In the water sells out super quick. I mean, as I said, we're expecting 60 plus boats. Those spaces will sell out really very, very quickly.
Right.
It was a sellout event this year, and we expect all of those guys to want to rebook their space. So yeah, people need to move very quickly for in-water space, but also in the marquee and around the boardwalk in that tented area. That we're limited with space. So as soon as the space is gone, it's gone.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
If you'd like to get in touch with Paul Pool Southeast Asia Co Limited, you can email us on info@paulpool.co.th, or you can go to the website paulpool.co.th, or you can call us on +66 2622 0605 through to 7. The next thing we're going to talk about is something that we talk about every month, pretty much, but we're going to put some flesh on those bones as well, because it's imminent, and that's the sponsorship part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
So for people who haven't heard previous episodes, where have you been?
Yeah.
And secondly, a brief description of what it is.
Okay, so every year we hold our annual training workshops. The one-day training workshops we do. This year is 9th to 12th of September, and we do sponsorship part 1, and that's focused on rights holders. And we do 2 one-day sessions. So 9th and 10th is for rights holders. Sponsorship part 2 is for brands. So 11th and 12th is for brands. Again, 2 one-day sessions. We limit the sessions to just 20 delegates per session. And why we speak about it so early is that, again, similar to the boat show, those slots sell out very quickly.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing that is worth stressing is that the workshops aren't the same workshop every year. They're tailored to meet the needs of the people who said they're attending.
Correct.
And so the sooner that you know who those people are, the sooner and the more thorough you can be in tailoring what the workshops are about for those people, right?
So there are two newsletter stories about our annual workshops in this month's newsletter. One of them is talking about the deadline date. Right. So 27th of June 2025 is when we close bookings for the September workshops. The reason we close bookings 3 months out is, as you said, we develop the training workshops around the delegates in the room. So we actually look at the from a rights holders what those events or whatever that they are, and we create meaningful workshops so that those delegates walk away with something that really impacts their business. Or for the brands, we use real case studies and examples for those brands so they can walk away with a really meaningful set of tools that they can actually put into their business. Yeah. I'm the coach, so I'm at all 4 workshops, and I'm there leading the workshop process, if you like, as the coach. Obviously, Asia Sponsorship News, our subsidiary, we use a lot of intel and data from ASN to fuel and the workshops. But we also invite speakers every year, and we have different speakers talking about different items. So we've firmed up 3 of our speakers already this year. Yep.
Breaking
news. we firmed up 3 of our speakers.
Where's your sense of the dramatic?
Exactly, yeah. They're all very good friends of ours. So Nigel Jones, who's the managing director and founder of the Purple Tangerine, he operates a consultancy in the UK, Nigel and I do a lot of work together on sport and non-sport, both in Europe and in Asia. And he'll be running some of the workshops on sport and non-sport using real-life case studies. So he's returning as a speaker. Another great friend, Desmond Hughes, who's the senior partner of Hughes Kruppika, the law firm here in Thailand.
Is that how you say it, Kruppika?
I'm not sure. He'll tell me, but I think it is. He'll be hosting the lunch every day. So he will be at the lunch, and he will be giving a keynote speech on the importance of putting contracts together, about intellectual property rights. So really the fundamentals of...
Hughes Kruppika are a law firm.
They're a law firm. So he's an attorney, he's a lawyer. So he will be speaking during that lunch. And I should say these training workshops, it's a long day. I mean, we start at 9 o'clock in the morning for registration, and we don't finish until 8 o'clock in the evening. Right. We have a working lunch, and then we have networking drinks afterwards. So Nigel and Desmond will be there for all 4 days, and then for sponsorship part 2 on the 11th and 12th, we have Paul Pendleton, who's the founder of Sponsorium, and he'll be running a workshop on sourcing the right sponsorship that is right for you, using Performind. Performind, if listeners remember, we use this for our engagement activation service. It's a tool that really helps define how to choose the right sponsorship for you. So he'll be doing a practical session on how to use Performind as for the brands. So he's coming in from Canada. He'll be doing that workshop. So really great 3 speakers. I'll be coaching, and we may have a couple of more speakers. Obviously, this workshop is happening the week after the FIVB Volleyball Women's World Championships. So we may even have somebody from Volleyball World as one of our guest speakers and use something from Volleyball World as a case study. So that hasn't been confirmed yet, but that's a possibility.
We should do a podcast from that.
From the training workshop.
Yeah, think about it.
You love getting out of the house, don't you?
No, I love my house. I hate leaving the house. But for interesting things.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely, we should look at that. I mean, usually it's quite an intensive 4 days.
Well, I didn't mean during the day. I meant the networking days afterwards.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, one important thing we should say as well is actually where it happens. I mean, we work out of the Como Metropolitan Bangkok in Satun, in Central Business District. We've used that location every year. It's one of those locations. It's more of a vacation place, but it's got Grace Mice facilities, so we actually use that location. It's a bit more chilled and quiet, so we can actually really deep dive into the world of sponsorship.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. So deadline for that
is the 27th of June for bookings. Yeah.
So April,
coming up in a couple of months. So yeah,
not long. So
we'll be here before you know it.
So get in touch if you want to get on board for that one.
Absolutely.
How do people book?
Okay, well, delegates can book directly on our website, or they can go to our ticketing partner, Ticketmelon, and book from there.
Fine.
Great.
Easy.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to talk about in Any Other Business today was about 2 things that are happening legislation-wise in Thailand. As we all know, legislation takes forever to happen, and sometimes fails. But 2 important things have passed the first hurdle in Thailand, and they are the legalization of casinos, and then alcohol being allowed to advertise again. And these are going to have huge impacts on what you do. Mm-hmm. Do you want to give us your early thoughts on it? We know it's not certain.
Yeah,
but I think it's worth talking about.
No, absolutely. I mean, we monitor the news very carefully, especially in these areas. The Alcohol Control Act here in Thailand, which I think was initiated in 2008, is very, very restrictive. So essentially, it prohibits any promotion of increased consumption. So basically, it stops anything promoting alcohol, even happy hours and these types of things. So what we've seen through the years is all of the alcohol brands that have non-alcohol products with the same name, they've shifted in using those water brands or soda brands to promote their brand, and I'm sure there's a knock-on effect for their alcohol sales from that. But it's been tabled or floated that basically there will be a change of that clause. So
I saw what you did there. You spoke about water and then said floated.
Exactly. So there's talk and a push to actually allow alcohol brands to advertise, and that means advertise their products, but also brand awareness in sponsoring again. Obviously, alcohol is a hugely important category, and that would be kind of a game changer for sports sponsorship and non-sports sponsorship here in Thailand if those brands were permitted to sponsor and advertise their products.
Entertainment would seem to be the biggest one. Is that true? I don't know. I'm asking you. You're the expert.
It really depends. I mean, it's all speculation right now on what they plan to do. But the Alcohol Control Act of 2008 is very restrictive, and actually, if you read it, it's also massively open to interpretation of what you can and cannot do.
But one story I have personal experience of. I was up in Udon Thani that first year, and there's an Irish pub in Udon Thani, and they've been visited by the police and told to turn around all the labels on their alcohol on the display behind the bar. That's how open to interpretation it was.
Using product as display is prohibited under the current Control Act, as is sampling. You can't give product away, which is free flow things in hospitality parties, etc., or VIP lounges. So it's very restrictive. So if it opens up, I think it will open up. It will be a great category to have as sponsors again, in terms of brand sponsorship, so branding, but also for all those peripheral things like hospitality, etc.
You're pretty much in the driving seat because of how long you've been here. You have those relationships.
Yeah, I mean we work with those brands on their non-alcoholic products,
right?
And there's lots of those non-alcoholic products. Obviously, we kind of self-police ourselves as well. We wouldn't necessarily go to a beer brand for a sporting event because it doesn't link. If it's a if it's a marathon, do you really want to have a beer while you're running a marathon? Probably not. You probably want a beer after running a marathon. Yeah. And I've heard a beer's a very good electrolyte, but
the only way you can get me to run anything like one is to dangle a beer in front of me on a stick.
But I think the move is very interesting, and I think it's very positive if done correctly. I think brands now are very responsible. Actually, I mean we see this with fast food brands here in Thailand. So there is no law about fast food brands sponsoring here in Thailand. There is in Europe. So actually in Europe, fast food brands can't sponsor in a number of countries. And a lot of those products can't sponsor to children in those countries. Here in Thailand, what we tend to find is they police themselves. So they do not do activity that they feel is morally wrong or doesn't fit with their brand. So I think, even if the Alcohol Control Act opens up, those brands will police themselves in terms of what's correct and what's not correct for their brand. But it's definitely a very, very important category, and one that would really help a lot of the football clubs, for example. It would help tremendously. And you talk
festivals, like music festivals, that sort of thing.
Absolutely,
that's the natural partnership with alcohol, isn't it?
Absolutely. In music festivals, yes, you can buy a beverage, you can buy drinks at the music festivals, but if you can have branding and if you can have experiential marketing activity, etc., and hospitality, VIP lounges, etc., I think it's a great move, and we'll be monitoring it very, very carefully. As you mentioned, I think it's only past the first hurdle of 3.
Yeah.
And then it obviously needs to be communicated in the Royal Gazette once it is passed. So I think we're a little way out from it being passed right now. So right now, people should act accordingly within the 2008 Alcohol Control Act. Casinos, you mentioned, and I think maybe these things are connected in a way, but casinos, there's been a real push to legalise entertainment complexes here in Thailand. I think they announced Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Chonburi, Phuket as the first four areas to look at these entertainment complexes. The new builds, only 10% of the complex would be tables or gambling, so only 10%. So the rest of those complexes will be mixed use development. So, you know, resorts, MICE facilities, restaurants, bars, etc. So that's moved on quite far. And I read with interest, you know, that a lot of the Macau operators are looking at Thailand.
Interesting.
And, you know, they're looking that Thailand could possibly be the next big country for gambling. We've done a lot of research on this for ASN, for Asia Sponsorship News, because Asia Sponsorship News will be launching a report on gambling sponsorship across Asia, probably in May, June this year. It's taken a little longer than we planned, just because there's so much to research. But interestingly, I mean, you know, we looked at Vegas. Vegas, you know, does $6 billion a year in gambling revenue with all of the casinos there. Macau does 30, or at its height did 30 billion a year with the casinos there. But Singapore, $6 billion with just 2 casinos. So it's really, I mean, it's huge numbers. So I think if done correctly and if done carefully, I think it could be a really great revenue generator in terms of tourism for the country.
I think the most compelling case I heard for it.
I think we're getting arrested.
Yeah, just for talking about it.
Exactly.
Call the cops. No, the most compelling case I heard for it is how many millions, possibly billions, go over the border, go to those places from Thailand, because there is an appetite for gambling, and I think it would be, you know, naive to suggest that there isn't. There clearly is. And so how much money goes over the border to Cambodia, where the casinos are on the border?
Yeah, I think I don't know about those border casinos at all, but
just to plug that gap.
The positives here, whether you like gambling or don't like gambling, the positives here is it will be regulated so they can control the illegal gambling that currently exists, and so that's a positive. From our side, obviously gambling is another huge category for sponsorship. It's not necessarily the casinos that are big sponsors, it's actually more online gambling. There was some talk about looking at legalizing online gambling here in Thailand. That's a tough one. I think it's only the Philippines that have regulated online gambling in the whole of Asia. So I think that may be a step too far. Right. But we're watching both the Alcohol Control Act and also the potential legalizing casinos as really two great categories opening up potentially for sponsors here in Thailand.
And I wonder whose model the government are monitoring. You know, the Philippines model, that they are all resorts. You know.
Yeah, but it's quite small. I mean, the Philippines, I would imagine they're looking at Macau and Singapore. Those are the two markets that they would be looking at closely. I have no idea, but I would imagine those are the two countries they're really looking at. I think Vegas is maybe a bit too far, and I think that the regulation around the Nevada gambling casinos, etc., is also very tight. So I don't know if that's prohibitive of those operators operating in Thailand. So I think Macau is probably the one to watch.
Fascinating.
And also, you know, I think, you know, all of these things are interconnected. I think, you know, that Thailand's really looking at how to really leverage that tourism dollar.
F1's been on the table.
Absolutely. I mean,
has been floated on the table in the dock.
Well, no, it's being driven.
It's been driven. I thank you. You're on form today, son.
I am. No, but F1 very interesting. I think we spoke about it in the last episode, even when we talked about sport tourism. Actually, it's now been announced they're looking at 2028, not 2027. But they've had very
So they've been lapped already.
But they've had some very, very serious conversations. So I think it's really looking even more likely that that's going to happen. But imagine we're sat here in 2028 with an F1 race in Bangkok, with casino complexes, able to promote alcohol. It'll be absolutely fantastic.
Amazing. Mouth-watering.
Absolutely.
See? I got the final water pun in there.
Very
All right,
good.
that's great. Thanks so much, Paul.
Great. And we'll be back next month.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Trevor.
Seeking sponsors. Seeking an opportunity to sponsor. Looking to maximise an already sponsored opportunity? Visit paulpool.co.th, the sponsorship experts.